This is Season 4, Episode 10 of Mastering the RPG, a tabletop RPG podcast all about upping your game. Doesn't matter if you're a game master or a player. Oh, what am I talking about? Ah, shucks. Let's just talk about the holidays. Let's do a holiday spectacular and talk about things we want or want to give. Oh, well, I'm back. I'm sorry I got excited. I'm Carl.
That was a surprise for me. I wasn't expecting that twist either, so...
Yeah, we're here. We're Mastering the RPG. Like I said, we're a tabletop RPG podcast, and today we're not going to do the normal advice. Well, we're going to do opinions, but we're just going to talk about things that we want to give to others or receive in this beautiful holiday timing. But first, let me talk about, I'm here with my co-hosts, Eric and Chris, and we're happy to be on the mics again. And so, what have you guys been up to this beautiful time of the year?
I myself am finishing all my projects for the year. Trying to wrap everything up so that January I get a clean slate.
That is a good thing. Go into the new year smooth.
Exactly.
I don't know what that means, but yeah, I mean, similar. I'm still doing my game. I have a lot of other stuff going on, so I haven't had time to work on any other projects right now, but, you know, playing games, running games, that kind of thing. Still going strong.
It's cool. I mean, we had a really good this Thanksgiving with the family and everything. Had a good time. I did a soft release. What do they call that when the restaurant opens?
Soft launch.
A soft launch
Yeah.
of my macro runner for Stream Deck. I just kind of opened the website up without doing a lot of advertising or anything like that. And so we'll see how that goes if I get a lot of hate mail or something. But anyway, so that's out there. Again, before the end of the year, trying to get some stuff done. More importantly, we have Tabletop Tango's 5-year anniversary. We're going to do a live stream December 18th at 8 p.m. Central USA time. And right now, I have actually got word from Chris Landauer that Shane Hensley will be on with us. So that's pretty exciting. Eric, you haven't heard that news? Fresh off the presses?
No.
So it's pretty cool.
All right.
So let's hope that stays. I mean, he's a super busy guy, so it could very easily change at a minute's notice there. So, but we're so far pretty happy about that. So anyway, I put in the notes like a joke that we should do a creature corner on like Saint Nick, and then Eric said we could have done the elves, but I didn't do any of that. Yeah, so that probably would have been funnier.
I think we could talk about it for a second, like, because I think we might touch on holiday themed games, but you know, basically a god or demigod of the winter, right? That is fickle. There's definitely a lot of. I think you could dig into the Christmas, the Santa mythology, the Krampus mythology, the whole North Pole, like a land of magical, winter spirits that either punish you or reward you. There's definitely some stuff you could draw from, right?
Yeah, we did one that was the Prince of Frost from the Feywild.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
that was our old Christmas one.
Yeah, I do feel like Saint Nick is like elven. I mean, Fey is like Fey-like, right? He seems like mostly going to be a creature of the Fey in some way. So yeah, combining those could be fun.
Yeah, I think so. And it's not like you don't have a million Christmas movie concepts of saving Santa, saving Christmas for Santa that you couldn't
becoming Santa,
so that you could save Christmas. No, wait.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of media to draw from, and we've talked about that. Eric, you've talked about that a lot. Leverage media to inspire you. So there's plenty about that too. And if you've got a campaign where the winter Jack Frost is coming after you, and you're in your house by yourself, and you're good at tinkering, hey, it could be fun. It'd almost be like a movie. So anyway, yeah, I put that in there. Didn't turn out like I thought. So anyway, why do we talk about our main topic? Our main topic is just was thinking about all the things that your friends who are gamers, or your friends who aren't gamers but know you are a gamer, that might think about getting or what's unique, and kind of unique gifts, not the normal everyday kind of things. Like you don't need to get me graph paper for Christmas. It's fine. So what do we think about that? So what are the different gamer types, people that you might be shopping for that you'd want to think about?
Well, I think you have like the two main ones, right? People who are interested and the people who already play. That's what I assume the big divisions are.
So there's people who are who've got an interest but haven't really started playing, or kind of just
Yeah.
So how can we draw
it.
them into our clutches of gaming through your gift giving guide?
I mean, there's like game masters and there's players. I think that's the biggest division, right? And I think players who maybe are thinking about becoming game masters, that's definitely a good thing to know about.
I agree.
I think we have a couple different categories of people who are like into buying things, right, in different ways, or game masters. But I think ultimately you really have to know what the person's about, because I think, like I said, you have some categories, Carl. Why don't you kind of?
Oh yeah, I just threw some stuff out there. Like there's the collector, right? There's a person who wants to have all the books from a particular thing. Like you see those folks with their D&D collections where they've got every book of
like
ever
basically,
published.
if you ever seen Carl in a video, just look behind him, and that's what he's talking about.
But I'm not a completist. Okay, so yeah, I'm a collector, but I'm not a completist. So
I mean, I don't know. You have 3 bookshelves completely packed full of books.
well, that's true, and that's not even. Those are the ones that I have in real copy instead of PDF, right? Yeah, so.
Yeah.
And then there's also I think about there's the person who's kind of got that historian or old school vibe that likes to know about, where does the game come from, what makes it interesting to hobby from a historical perspective, or even just like the old school Renaissance kind of feel. And then there's the people who are kind of like all in on a game system, which is kind of like a collector, but everything and anything.
They only care about the one game.
Yeah, but they just got one game, and that's all that's on their mind. And then I don't know what a digital demon is. Somebody wrote that one out.
I just put that as because I like alliteration, but somebody who just plays online, right? So it's like they're not probably going to maybe not appreciate physical gaming things as much if they just are only online, right? They're going to want digital assets, is what I meant by. I just like alliteration, so that's why I put
the digital demon. But that's a good point, right? There's people who their gaming life is online, and so a gift of a beautiful battle map is not going to do a lot for them, right?
No, and dice might not either, right? Even dice won't do much for them. So, but there's plenty of digital things to buy them, right? I mean, we've talked about them in a lot of cool stuff found, and there's a lot of books that will still apply to either. But yeah.
Yeah, the digital demon sounds like a good humble bundle recipient.
yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, see, put that one down. I didn't see that one in the list. We'll put that in the list. This is definitely fourth wall stuff. I'm looking at the list, and I'm talking about the list as a list that exists. So that's a little different than normally how we do things. But so yeah, there's different kinds of people, right? I guess I'm a collector. I fall into that category, but I'm also a historian. I like the history of the game and where things have come from. So let's talk about some ideas for those gamers. As I hear keyboard typing, let's talk about those gamers and some things. So, Eric, you mentioned it, the dice, right? So, of course, dice is always a option for your gaming buddies, but don't just get them plain ordinary ones. I mean, there's so many interesting, unique things out there. Like there's, even beyond traditional dice look that have that are metal or have special ways that they're put together or what have you. I found just even a couple. There's spinner ones that are basically kind of like a fidget spinner, but have dice on them that you can spin. There's a Kickstarter now that's going on that's called the Cardyhedron, which is a dice roller that is the size of a business card that slides in your wallet. So there's all sorts of interesting, unique kind of things that you can get somebody. Like the old, in the old days, the D100 die was the funny thing to get somebody, that would basically roll forever and never actually stop. But there's a lot of cool stuff there. Did you guys have any dice that you run across that would be unique or interesting for people to kind of find in their stocking?
I saw one recently that was like a little fidget spinner thing, but you spin it in your hand and it has multiple levels that you read, and it counts for all dice. It's like a coin size thing. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those. A bunch of different people make them. There's a whole website called Unique Dice, which I know makes a lot of those, and they have ones that are like almost like daggers, and then they have like things that are almost like a astrolabe kind of thing. That's what you're talking about, Chris.
Yeah.
I think dice, you can get really creative with it. Like, there's so many dice that are themed to certain franchises. So I think a big thing when you're buying dice for somebody to get them something unique is like if they're really a fan of a certain franchise, you can usually find dice. Like there's Fallout dice, right? There's dice for whatever video game or TV show or movie or book series. There's often themed dice either officially or Etsy, or there was a couple. There used to be one called Shapeways, which I used to buy. Like I bought a really cool steampunk metal dice on there, but they went out of business. But like, there's plenty of independent 3D printers now that you can just get so much unique dice. So I would say that's the big one to look for is like themed to somebody's like what they like, right?
Well, and that's the big deal for
that would be more unique.
Well, I was just going to say for us Savage
Yeah.
Worlds players, right? Theming bennies, theming cards, theming dice. Why not, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I mean, theming, even if they're not running a Fallout game, they just, like a player or a game master might appreciate something that is like representative of something that they love, right?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
And I think going along with dice, I think dice bags, I think people like getting a really, really nice dice bag, like especially like on Etsy. Some of them you can find are themed again. So I just think that's probably the best way to go as far as dice.
And there are so many different kinds of dice bags of different quality, and all from felt to leather to chain mail to all sorts of stuff that you can go for.
Yeah.
All right, so dice is the number one easy thing to do, but the next thing I think this is a game playing hobby where books are king. So let's talk about books that might fall into that category of something that people might enjoy. So I'll start off with kind of a couple of history books. So this is for those who like the history. There's a lot of, D&D history books and that sort of thing out there, and some have been around for a long time, but there's a couple that I'll throw out there. First is Ben Regg's Slaying the Dragon, which is a relatively new book. I think it's 2 years maybe or so, all about the fall of TSR up until the point that they got purchased by Wizards of the Coast. Really an interesting read and deep dive into kind of like the mindset and what people were thinking, and how a business with great ideas can go kind of off the rails. There's another one called Game Wizards, the Epic Battle for Dungeons and Dragons, which is also kind of in the same vein, that has a lot of interesting stuff about what happened in those early days, and who really pushed the game forward and who was really has the had their finger on the pulse of the gaming world at that time, and really made those changes. And so those were a couple that I've read Slaying the Dragon. I have not had a chance to read Game Wizards, but I'm looking forward to sometime. So part of this is my list too. If somebody got me a book, that would be a cool book to get. So is there any history books you guys or anything like that? No? Okay. How about game aids? Gaming advice, other than saying, a subscription to Mastering the RPG. Anyway, for game aids or advice, what kind of books or PDFs or whatever do you guys think would be great to have for your dungeon master or playing friend?
I always like the How to Write Adventure books myself, which the one that comes to mind first is How to Write Adventures That Don't Suck from Goodman Games, which is great. Even if you're not writing to sell, just writing for your house. That's very good. And the Lazy Dungeon Master series of books, also very good.
Yeah, Sly Flourish does some really good stuff. But I've heard really good things about how to write adventures that don't suck. A lot of people have said that's a great read that really kind of sets you up for success. So that's probably a pretty good one there. One book for like your new, like brand new game master. So this is like you've got a player who's kind of thinking about being a game master and you want to hand them a primer to start them off. There's a book called So You Want to Be a Game Master, which is by Justin Alexander, and it's basically kind of a step-by-step how-to run a dungeon, to run overland, to run city adventures, and it kind of talks about how turns are run and how do you think about design and how very, very basic stuff from kind of the ground up. I got a copy of the book. I read part of it, but I kind of got bogged down into it. It was pretty rudimentary. It was really geared towards early, game masters. And I was hoping I'd pick up a tip or trick here and there, and I did. But definitely, if you've got somebody who's just thinking about being a game master, don't know anything about it, really would like, kind of a how-to step-by-step. It's actually a pretty good book for that. So that's a good place to start. Maybe a newbie who's just looking to start out. Another interesting book that's not really game aids is random table books. People love random tables, and there are so many books that have just oodles of random tables, whether they're city random, dungeon random, name random, just tons of random stuff. And so if you found a book like that, you could pick that up for any of your game mastering friends and just throw it on your table and give them a chance to just have a thing to, rolling on these random table books gives you kind of inspiration and makes you sort of think things through. The one that I kind of was thinking of is the Game Master's Book of Astonishing Random Tables, which is just one of many, 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 but it's a great one for just, random tables help you kind of get your energy and, flow and just pick a thing and say, okay, I got to build something around that. So it's really, really a fun thing to do.
Yeah, Matt Davids has that's the author, I believe, has a big collection. They're just called the Book of Random Tables, and there's 7 or 8 of them or something. Those ones are pretty good too.
I've noticed there's something like, maybe it's this set or a similar set that's at like Target now. That's just on the shelves. It's very kind of not D&D specific, but it sounds like it's sort of like a random ideas like this, adventure hooks and whatnot. Just more generic.
And you can get that just in you're just at a Target. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are starting to appear. I mean, we've talked about a lot on the. I didn't have time to write down a lot of actual names of things, but we've talked about so many on cool stuff. Pretty much all of those are good book ideas. I mean, I'll bring up again the first one that I talked about was Herbalist Primer, which is this beautiful book, and it's a mix of game ideas. It also is an art book in itself. There's cards you can get along with it, and a notebook you can get along that kind of you can utilize. It's just a really you could have as a coffee table book, but it also gives ideas for games and for utilizing herbs or herb style games stories in your games. So that's another one that I highly recommend, and that looks good, right? It you open it up and you're like, oh, this is a gift. 'Cause sometimes you get some type of book that's just oh, here's how to do that. It's not as nice looking because it's just a school text or something, right?
Yeah.
So I think the ones that are more artsy to me probably are better as gifts.
Well, that book definitely is, like you said, it's an art book almost more than it is just a game aid. There's just so much beautiful stuff in it. So definitely a cool one for anyone. So any other game aids or things that or books like that you guys are thinking about? Obviously, Lazy Dungeon Master, great one. So I like Sly Flourish a lot. So his stuff is really good.
You already have it on a different list, but the monsters know what they're doing. It's going to come up soon enough.
Oh well, no, let's talk about it. Again, we don't have to follow the outline, but that's a good one. Yeah, talk about that, Chris. That's a fantastic set of books.
Yeah, it's a great book, and it just kind of looks through the stats of the D&D creatures and analyzes the abilities that they have and how they would use those in a tactical way. That these are things that they would have lived with and grown up with and would affect their day-to-day life. So, how does a person with, that's very brave, how would they act? How would they tactically go? Would they be aggressive? Would they be defensive? And it goes through all the different creatures and how they work together with other creatures as well. It's pretty fantastic, I think.
Yeah, it's another one of those great gifts for a game master who is just, they kind of got everything going for them, and it's like, here's a little item to kind of throw on the pile of things that they can make their games just that much more engaging or tougher. It's the monsters know what they're doing and make combat a little more difficult than maybe it was before. All right, so what about just gaming books in general? And I'll start out again. So one of the top things on my list this year is the Shadow Dark RPG. Had a lot of buzz when it came out, and I totally did not get it because of the buzz. It was like, okay, not every gaming YouTube channel is going to be talking about this. It's like, come on, what are they paying them? But it won 4 Ennies for a variety of stuff. The one of them I don't think was, the layout. I'm not sure they should have won the layout, but personal opinion. So it turns out it's a very good kind of OSR-ish kind of game, but with modern sensibilities, I think is how people might describe it. And so it's a great RPG that you might want to. That would be a great gift. Now, might be tough to get the hardcover right now, so it may be a PDF gift, but it's still like a great game that's a lot of people are talking about and has a lot of support coming up. I got more. Anyone else?
Shadow Dark is a great one. That's actually was first on my list. And the other one I just got into was Dungeon Crawl Classics, the big $10 rule book that you get at usually at conventions, but I'm not sure how much it costs otherwise. But it's a huge book you get at conventions, and the game itself is kind of gonzo and crazy and has its own set of dice. It's pretty cool, and it is definitely something people should look into for like a fun time.
And they have a lot of modules that they've published, and so there's some really good stuff. Like they've published what I'm trying to think, Mega Dungeon type books. And so if you have somebody, a $10 book, and then buy them a couple of modules or something to go along with it, and they're ready to rock and roll and start playing that game. I still am still kind of saucy about my cleric who never seemed to have any favor with his god, so he always had a hard time casting spells. Really kind of upsets me. He never was any good. So anyway.
As a side note, last night I asked if ChatGPT could run a DCC game, and it could, and I played one for about 20 minutes until I, of course, died right away.
Did you get eaten by Gru?
No, sadly, I just got pounded to death by a statue creature or something. But it did know how to play. It just was not very nice to me.
Eric, do you got anything that comes to mind of stuff that you think would be on that list of great gift ideas? I've got 2 more that I think. I don't know. A Free League is just got some really good stuff. If you want pretty books and somebody's into different stuff, they've got Alien, they got Blade Runner 2049, they've got, if I'm not suddenly it went right out of my brain, but they've got a couple of other IP franchise items that would be great for people who are kind of into that, because the artwork's usually fantastic, and then the gameplay is really tied to that kind of to that genre that you're working on. It's really well tied into that. So those are a couple of other ones, not to just pick on a specific kind of vendor. And then I know this is something, Chris, you've got a lot more experience with than I do, but like starter sets, I think that's another great gift idea for folks, who might be getting into the game, because we talked about folks getting in. There's a lot of starter sets out there. You've got a few of them, right? So what do you think about a starter set for for a gift. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes total sense. There's lots of good ones. Some of them have the dice in the box as well. Those are the best ones, I think, because you literally can give just the box to somebody and they can start playing. D&D has the starter set, and then their other starter set, which is Essentials or something. And the Spyhunter one is at Barnes and Noble often, easy to get. Arkham Horrors starter set this year is a lot of people talking about, and it's pretty cool. Pathfinder has a beginner box, and I think they have it for Starfinder as well. But all of those are super great, and they come with everything you need to play. And it's a good way to get your feet wet and try it out and appease people who have an interest. Maybe they want to try it without having to hunt down all the different pieces. There was another one that we just got. Call of Cthulhu. They have a really good one too. $20 or so. It's still on my shelf that I have not even played yet.
Well, I have the old D&D starter set that I never played either. I just had it because I guess because it was a D&D thing and I had it. So
yeah, they're great. They're like the modern iteration of the old red box or whatever. Just for different games. They're
for sure
super cool.
Yeah, I think and the adventures are actually pretty good in those.
Yeah,
they usually get a lot of praise for being well written. So excellent. And
then I think with that too, if you're giving it to somebody who's a player who's been interested in game mastering, and if you're a game master, then along with that, be like, hey, and I'll help you out. If you have questions, I'll be a player, but if you put your stuff out there too, to if they're kind of struggling with, can I make, because that's the extra part of it. Anybody can go out and buy a starting set, and there's a reason probably they haven't. So if you're offering yourself as being advice, or hey, check out this podcast called Mastering the RPG, it'll help you, or whatever, right? I think that's kind of that's the extra step that will help somebody maybe get over some fears, right? Yeah.
I mean, your time is a great gift, like you said, right?
For sure.
The time of your time is a great gift. So, do you want to jump into unique gifts, or should I finish up the book side of it with the art collections and then come back?
Sure,
to
go on the art collections. Yeah.
So just art collections are another really great thing. There's quite a few books out there that have game art in them. One of them I'll just pick up is the D&D Art Arcana, big old traditional art book, and that has art from all the kind of the old Player's Handbook and stuff like that, and those kind of vein. But there's stuff like Elmore has a coffee table book you can pick up. There's a lot of really cool stuff. So if somebody likes the art of role-playing games, there's definitely a chance to pick up some interesting books in that vein. So,
and I almost think those are better in a lot of ways, because I feel certain game masters will buy the books that they're specifically interested in about a certain game system or maybe some certain type of game aids, but they might not be thinking about things like art book or a coffee table book that is more something that is nice and that is out there and is not just a technical thing. So sometimes I think that might be the right way to go if somebody that has a lot of stuff, right?
I think you're right for sure.
And so I think on that topic, with my idea with unique gifts is that it's who do you get a Carl, right? What do you get a Carl? What do you get a Chris who already buy all these books? So I think kind of taking a unique slant to it. So I've talked about it before, but for me, collections of I have a huge collection of folk tales and books about mythology, and I think those are also really good to get game masters. And there's a lot now. There's been a new kind of wave, I would say, of a more contemporary authors doing collections of these. Neil Gaiman did a Norse one. I think he did another one. And there's ones like that will do these kind of more approachable take. So those might be a good one to go to. But also, if you go to any bookstore that has a used department, I guarantee you will find, if you go to the kind of mythology section, you will find old books of folk tales and books about creatures and stuff that are really unique. And for me, it might help a game master. This is different, right? It's tangential to what they want to do, but it is a unique thing. It's not just something that you went to, Amazon or Target and picked it up, right? They're not going to get this anywhere else. So that just might be that's my point about a unique gift, is that obviously the person has to be into those kind of things, but if you know they are, they might not ever expect this or would never pick it up for themselves. So yeah, books on folk tales and mythology, especially either weird used ones or more newer ones that are kind of easier approachable, is one. Also. Really, there's so many cool tarot decks and also playing card decks that, again, are themed to everything. So, especially with, like Carl said, with Savage Worlds, having unique decks, right? Like, so for Fallout, like I got a deck of, it was a playing card deck for Fallout. I think it was from the video game for like New Vegas, but it was still like themed to that. You can also just get really, really cool tarot decks that, again, will completely fit somebody's aesthetic. I mean, there's so many different ones, and people can incorporate that in as like a game aid, right? But it's not specifically bought for a certain game, but you can kind of get those into a game as like some type of prop or something. Also another one that like my friend, so at a local fair, they were selling this like wizardy robe. I think I showed up on one of our streams with it. So like, yeah, like a cool, like, go on Etsy or go to like a local fair and you get like a robe or a hat or something, right? Or like some type of like, I don't even like a wand. It depends what the person's into, but like a handmade piece of clothing or like something that they wear as a game master can, again, they have all the books that they know about that stuff. So this is like just them getting something that's very unique that they're going to remember that you picked out for them. Finally, like, I mean, Carl, I think you have a sword or an axe in the background, right? So getting somebody like a cool sword or axe, if they're into that they can wield as the game master. Just thinking about stuff like that is what I'm trying to say. Go to your Ren fair, get up some cool props. So yeah, I would say Etsy, Ren fair, and like local fairs are probably the way to go.
A beautiful dagger that they can slam into the table when they're like to make a point, and then the bad guy comes out and slam. Did you actually sharpen
another one
that?
like I think of was like a calligraphy kit with like some parchment paper or something. So if they like making props, that could be another one where they can like hand make some letters, right, with the calligraphy kit. So I think going. To me, those might be the best way often because so many people that are game masters are already hoarders of game stuff. So get them stuff they're not expecting. Do you guys have any ideas about this kind of stuff that are just tangential but not actually D&D or game supplies?
No, go ahead, Chris.
I was just gonna say, this actually fits. I think for this is I usually go to like Spirit Halloween store and look for all the dragony stuff that I can then save for Christmas. Since it's only, a month and a half before, and they often have like dragon bookends and this and that, but they're a very dungeon, like your game room themed stuff.
Well, and I think, Eric, you make a great point, and unfortunately, there's not a convention that's like right now. But if you get a chance to go to Gen Con, you'll see like there are so many, there everything from leather works where they have vial holders that go on your belt to, I actually seen books that are for notes, but have, that are 3D covers that have like an eye, kind of in them. And so there's just so many really interesting things that you make a great point that even a notebook, you could find a notebook that has that's got some super character that would fit their aesthetic. So yeah, that's pretty brilliant. And yeah, my sword, my wife got me that sword, and so I think about her every time I wield it. So
wait, how often do you wield it? Wait a minute.
I told you about slamming the sword down into the table, didn't I?
Okay.
When I tell people to roll for initiative, I mean it. I don't want people to I mean it. So anyway. So these are all kind of physical things. I'm going to skip the digital. We'll talk about digital after, but let's talk about accessories a little bit. So one of the things we talked about, thinking about was like subscriptions. Are there like subscription services that you could buy for, your gaming friend or somebody that would be a great gift? Again, another unique thing that they didn't have before that they wouldn't have thought to buy for themselves. What do you? Any thoughts on that?
For me, I think if it's a game master, I think Patreons that are map based are probably really, really good ones. I mean, often those you can just pay. You can pay for like you get 2 or 3 months of this for them or something, or whatever. How much it costs? I mean, it could be even. You could do even longer than that, like a year's worth, right? I've talked about it before about Limitron is one that's a whole website that's for like nautical theme. But I've talked about Solution before, the Cyberpunk kid, but there's so many. So for me, that's probably the biggest subscription. I mean, if they're on Roll20, obviously pro subscription for a year. Foundry, there's tons of stuff on Foundry, right? We've talked about math, that's more getting to digital assets now, but I would say for me, the big one is probably just map patrons for people.
And what's that one, Siren, right? That's the audio one? Is that
Sirenscape? Yeah.
Sirenscape? That sounds like that's also like very, very popular and very cool easy for game masters to bring music or sound into their gaming.
Yeah, it's built for it. I mean, specifically, so it's not like you're doing the Spotify playlist thing. So yeah, it is very, very pretty good service, and it has I know it has a Foundry control panel. I don't know about Roll20, but you can run it right off the website.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. And then of course, terrain. There's the classic. Should I get people Dwarven Forge, or should I? But that I don't think about that because that's such an expensive thing to get somebody a little tiny piece, and then it's so expensive. But things like Pathfinder map packs would be great. Those aren't that expensive, and you can fold them out, pull them out, and flip them over when you need to have a quick map. And so for somebody who's face to face, that's a great little pack it up. You can pack it into your bag and easily carry it. So.
Also, I think there's a lot of cheap ways to do it too. I mean, for one, finding used board games that have terrain in them. Like if you find an old thing of Gloomhaven, right? You could sift through that and get a ton of stuff for somebody, even if they don't care about playing the board game. If they're a map person, right? Also, there's a lot of stuff online about making your own terrain or like cheap ways to like fold and stuff. And if you don't have a lot of money but you got some time, you could do that and then create terrain yourself and give that to somebody. And again, that's like, some people just that you made something will make somebody appreciate it more, right? And you could really customize it to whatever that person's genre they're a fan of, like maybe more sci-fi ones or cyberpunk ones. So that could be a big one of just like looking. There's so many resources online how to do that yourself, but you go to like Hobby Lobby or Joann's Fabrics and you get some stuff. Then you can create some really cool things nowadays, or print out and fold, like I said. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
If I ever found a used version of Gloomhaven, I would just finally have Gloomhaven. It's too expensive for me to buy new.
Yeah, I kickstarted it, so there's old board. I've always talked about like if for budget wise, like if you could go and find old board games that have terrain in them or minis in them and stuff, and you could buy a bunch of them and get the best parts out and give that as like a custom gift too. Again, I always think custom gifts are always going to be the most meaningful to people. So especially if you're on a budget, that might be the way to go.
And of course, you got the classic manor map in every Clue game that you can just use right out of the box. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, you could just find a bunch of yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And today the
goblins
do a little
bit of editing, and there you go.
The goblins have taken over a manor. Oh, that's weird. It looks just like the kobold's manor from last week. Yes, it does.
There's a little bit of a difference in the corner.
Yeah, there's a marker.
Yeah, this time it was Colonel Mustard instead of anyway.
Yeah.
But on that note, like you can get you can find Clue, you can find Monopoly for nothing, and just some getting some nice cardstock, you can print that out and put as like another type of map overlay on those and make custom overlays. So there's a lot of really, really good advice online. I don't have any links right now, but it's not that hard to find and to make kind of like cool custom stuff. And especially if the person doesn't play fantasy games. Right, because the Pathfinder map packs are awesome. All the Pathfinder stuff, they do the best when it comes to like map packs and tokens. The best thing about Pathfinder is they have those ones that they're I forget what they're called. They're like boxes of token packs. Do you know what I'm talking about, Chris? Where they're like standee ones.
Yeah, the pawn set things.
Yeah, the pawn sets. Those are excellent, but those are all fantasy, right? So there's a lot of cool ways to do, like if somebody does cyberpunk or sci-fi or whatever, might have to do custom stuff, and you can do that like what I'm talking about.
Another of the good map things are those Loki battle maps. They're like spiral bound kind of cardboard books, and you can open up the maps flat.
Oh yeah,
and they're quite big, like 11 by 17 or bigger. So it makes a pretty good map, and it comes with like 10 to 20 maps in the book.
That's a cool idea. That's a cool idea. And well, now speaking of custom, right? What about now we can talk a little bit about miniatures, and the thing that came to mind, which was unique and interesting, is the classic Hero Forge. You can make a mini of the person's character, or something that's important to them that they haven't thought to do, and go ahead and splurge for them and bring that to the table if they hadn't thought of doing it. So Hero Forge doing custom minis for friends and family, I think is a great idea. And that came to mind when you were talking about custom things. Now it's not handcrafted by your own hands, but it's something that shows that you know them.
Yeah, you thought about it. Yeah. And I think we can just build on top of that. I mean, you can give somebody a subscription to Hero Forge if they're a game master. Also, I think as a game master or as a player, making merch, like you can get, first of all, giving credit, you can give them a certain amount of money towards a portrait maker, like an art person, right?
Yep.
That will make portraits for them, custom portraits, either as a game master or a player. That could be an awesome gift. Like if somebody gave me a gift of like 3 portraits from a character you want, like that would be an awesome gift for me, because like one of the biggest things for me, even as a player, is like finding the perfect piece of portrait art. And I'm not going to want to like spend money usually, but if I had somebody just give me the gift of that, then I'd be like, oh, this is awesome. Now I can like really have that. So that would be a good one. But like if you're a game master, like getting all your players, like you can make a T-shirt with like all of the character art together, right, on a T-shirt or sweater or a mug or something. There's all those, like those are all easy resources again that really feel like it's custom made. And then of course again for a game master, giving credit for a mini painter. So similar to somebody who makes portrait art, there's people who will paint minis for you. And if a game master like loves having minis but hates painting them, but like they get all these like blank minis, or like, oh, I wish they were painted. So just having like, hey, I got you like it's 20 minis that you can have painted or whatever. So yeah, that's another recommendation.
Very cool. Very cool. And then we had a category that Eric added, which is all in gifts.
I call it all in gifts.
All in gifts. So
well, these are ones. I mean, similar to you could also do it with the mini painter. If there's ones that seem too expensive, like having somebody do a mini painter. That's like 20 minis. That could be pretty expensive. Or, a big collection of big minis. Or something like I said, like a really, really cool gaming table. Now, people might not, there's some really, really nice tables that are very expensive. There's ones that are a little bit cheaper. There's ones that there's plans that you can build yourself. But what I mean all in gifts is that either, maybe you don't have to buy it all yourself. Like, so contacting, if it's a game group, right? Being like, hey, talk to all the different players. Let's go in something, all of us go in on something for the game master. So that could be, a really nice table. That could be something like a really nice game bag. There's really nice backpacks that can hold, don't go for the cheap one, go for a nicer one that's better quality, that can kind of hold all your accessories, right? Really nice gaming trays. Like I think, what's the Wormwood or something? There's that whole like brand that makes tables and trays and stuff. So, if something looks too expensive, don't be afraid to like talk to other players or talk to like, the mutual friend or their wife or husband or something, right? Like that could be the bigger thing of like something they'll never buy for themselves, but something that you.
I've seen posts on Reddit where the game masters players came together and bought them an Etsy custom DM screen that has carvings on it and stuff like that, and that was like their prized possession now. That the players did that for them. All right,
must be nice to have such great players at their table. I'm saying that to anybody who plays my games that's listening to this.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Everybody,
you know what I mean?
buy Chris a custom gaming table. On the cheaper side, if as far as the gaming table goes. If somebody does like playing on a dining room table, you can get really nice felt table toppers. I've made them myself, but there's some really nicer ones where basically it's just like a big piece of gaming felt that goes over a table and kind of straps down. You can get nice ones that like look much nicer, and that could be like, again, you're not going to break the bank on it, but it's going to be an upgrade to just like a normal dining room table. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And they're also getting back to the gaming table. I think there's like in the $99 range, there's some that are portable where you put the legs together and it sits on top of the table, and it's just like there's a lot of options there to do something there. So yeah, and then of course there's the classic, when you're playing around, dice trays, rolling towers, all those little things that make the dice rolling a little better for your custom dice that you just got them. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, and dice towers. Oh my God, there's like a million of them. And then if you got a 3D printer, there's like 3D printer plans that are just like so out of this world, crazy. So
Or the 3D printer itself might make a good gift for somebody too.
Are you hinting again, Chris?
No. My time for 3D printing has passed. It takes too much of my time.
Cool. So let's go. Let's return back to now. So a lot of physical stuff, very cool stuff. I mean, I love Eric's ideas of some of the handcrafted gifts. What about digital tools? We live in a digital world. What kind of things, from a digital standpoint, might we be able to get our friends and family there who are in the game space?
First thing that comes to mind is a drawing tablet. If anybody is into creating their own online content for their VTT games and stuff, and it could just be like a Procreate app on their iPad or something. But when I first started going into digital stuff, the ability to like edit stuff and make my own stuff in a portable manner was super high for me personally. I'm sure there's tons of other apps in app stores that also aid in games.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually think I see advertised a lot a brush pack that works with like Photoshop, and it's just a pack of different brushes that you can use. It doesn't even have to be like a program dedicated to doing that. It's just some brush packs that you can quickly draw up your own maps using.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's we've talked about a lot already, but I mean, map stuff I think is important. So like Incarnate, I love Incarnate. Not only is it easy, I mean, not easy, but I mean, it's pretty easy. Yeah, it is easy, but also there's a lot of stuff out there that people upload. So Incarnate's like a map making software for both world maps and also battle maps. There's a really cool Steam one that I have called Dungeon Alchemist that once it kind of makes stuff like procedurally for you. So that's another good one to maybe give somebody.
Yeah, I've heard about that one a lot recently, actually.
Is that one use AI or is it just procedural?
I mean, there's definitely some AI in there, but yeah.
And do we mention Dungeon Draft yet? That's another popular one.
Yeah, Dungeon Draft.
Cool.
As far as other subscriptions, I mean, we've touched on a lot of them. Sirenscape. I was talking about. I just did a cool stuff about Michael Gelfi. Right. There's a lot of cool digital assets there. So yeah.
Same with back to the Humble Bundle thing. There's a lot of Humble Bundles throughout the year you can hold on to, or maybe even right now, that are a bunch of, like, there was one recently that was TTRPG music you can use in your games.
Oh, nice.
They often have maps. They often have, like, art assets that you can use. They often have big collections of, like, all the Free League books, or all the, a bunch of the Pathfinder books, or 75 DCC adventures or whatever. But it's good to keep an eye on that site.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas, it doesn't have to be one time a year. The holidays aren't just one time a year. You can give all year round. So, I think of some things. If you are playing on a VTT, it's always great to get folks the things that you're working with. Like my group here, Eric and the team, they got me when we started our campaign. They got me the Foundry VTT Pathfinder for Savage Worlds module, which made game mastering it so much easier than just kind of handcrafting things myself. So those are always a great idea for Foundry, Roll20, Fantasy Grounds. What may you have and that your team is playing or your group is playing. So anything we didn't hit on? I mean, I'd like to know what what are you looking for? Somebody to get you for the holidays. I know my family's not going to get me any gaming stuff, but if somebody was to get me gaming stuff,
What is it? What would you want hypothetically?
Shadow Dark. Shadow Dark's top of my list.
Oh,
Yeah, I would
okay.
love to have a copy of Shadow Dark. And
the
second,
hardcover.
yeah, the hardcover. And then the second would be maybe the Fantasy Companion and Deadlands modules for Foundry, so that I
Oh,
could run
yeah.
those. So those are kind of on my list. So what about you guys?
I asked for the Loki battle map thing that I mentioned, the big books. They're super easy to carry around, and the maps look pretty neat. So that's the only thing RPG related I have on my plate. I usually buy things for myself because I can't rely on other people to get the right presents for me.
Yeah, I got a lot of ideas out there that people might buy for me, but the gaming stuff,
Yeah.
this is a wish list. So, Eric, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, in the same boat. I mean, most of the time I've just got stuff with, like, if I really want to get something or need something for what I'm doing, I get it. But definitely I still haven't gotten some of the, I have all the books for Suede, but I haven't gotten the Fantasy Companion, Science Fiction Companion when that comes out. I don't have that digital asset. Or the superhero one. They're not out yet, Chris.
Nope.
I was like, Chris, they're not out yet. But
Sci-fi
yeah,
is very close to being out, though.
work faster. No, I'm kidding. Those ones would be cool. I'm going to need a new computer or updated components, which I do most of my gaming digitally, so I guess that counts. If somebody bought, nobody's going to buy me a graphics card, though, for Hanamis.
I run all my games off a MacBook, so come on. How much power do you need to really run your games?
I just mean I just also for other gaming. It's all in there. It's all in there.
It's all one big mash of gaming goodness. Right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, there's not much as far as gaming goes.
Okay.
Oh, the one thing that I brought up is it would be cool to get you can get 5 portraits because for me, like I said, when I start a new game, getting the right portrait is, I've spent hours and hours and days of my life that I'll never get back scrolling through Pinterest trying to find the right portrait. So that would be cool. That'd be a cool gift.
Yeah, and I have one that's just tailored to your character and not just something you found online.
Yeah.
It would be just so credible. Yeah.
There's another one I don't think we touched on, or maybe we did that I wasn't paying attention. But sometimes people make gifts for their gaming group itself. Like, this is our group Friday night games or whatever, and they make mugs and everybody gets one. I think those are pretty cool.
I brought that up, yeah. Yeah, like T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
That is
that's
cool,
right.
yeah.
You did say that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Or almost it's like a bowling shirt or something, or jackets.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah,
be
we've
cool.
done
Yeah,
coffee
hats.
mugs before.
Buy all your gaming group matching tattoos. So, they could do that.
Usually,
I do that too. That would actually be, I would go for that. If somebody wants to buy me a
You'd be all into
matching
that?
tattoo, I would do it, yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
we always try to get something that, some funny part of a game that comes up and we remember it, several months later and
Like
point
a
out that.
line or something.
Yeah,
or,
right.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, I think that hits it. This would be the part of the show where I start saying thanks everyone for tuning in. But I'm just happy that we had a chance to talk about some gift ideas, some of this stuff I would love to get myself. But things being cost being an issue, we can't buy everything. So hopefully that's with some good ideas for your players, for your game master, for your group, for people who are interested in different things from history to playing physical games to artwork to things that are unique that you might not find everywhere. That I love the idea of those old folktale mythology books that you might have to go through a dusty bookstore to kind of find. So a lot of really good ideas there. So if you've got ideas, drop us an email at gamemaster@masteringtherepg.com and we'll tell people about it. So I'm happy to be here again with my hosts, Eric and Chris, and it was a good time talking to you guys. And if I don't see you before the holidays, hopefully we will. But if we don't, have a great set of holidays, and it's been fun. And if we don't get together, I'll see you in the new year.
All right. Merry gaming.
Yeah, have a good rest of the year.